Hi, it's me. I used to think I just wasn't a book person, but the truth is books were never part of my world. So this morning I tried to fix that for my baby. I woke up early today to make sure I have enough time to do this shooting. Before I start work, I felt the table was messy, so I tried to clean it up, but I gave up and decided to proceed for the shot. What makes a good short form video is motion. So the plan was to open the door, walk in and sit down to eat my snack. But then an awkward problem happened. The bag was stuck and I couldn't open it. So much for a smooth beginning, and finally I managed to do it. I was honestly hungry, but I had to finish this video before my breakfast. This morning, Harris was quiet in his playpen reading his book. So I quickly took out my camera because this was seriously a rare sight. But the challenge was I can't let him see me. If not, oops, too late, he already started his morning walk. Come on Harris, we haven't even started shooting yet. So I had to make some adjustment. I placed him back with his book and lucky enough, he was still interested in the book by himself. The scene was challenging because Harris doesn't listen to instructions fully yet. So in any second, if he decides to make a move, we can't stop him. I gotta say, I took quite a long shot. I wanted like a running scene towards him, but he suddenly closed the book, which means we failed. He started opening the book again, but I couldn't use the shot as the earlier scene, the book was already open. I did use this scene as it makes sense to link the first scene with the second scene for the next page. Next, I went into the playpen to take an up-close shot. Sometimes filming with a baby is all about prioritizing the baby's mood, which means I usually shoot Harry's shots first, only then continue with mine. Even though I dislike shooting this way because it messes up the order and it will make the editing of the video much harder later on. By the way, this is tempeh chips, a healthy snack, hehe. I like filming using my front camera because I can make sure my characters is at the center of the screen and also to make sure the lighting is on point. I wanted another shot for the Harris review reading the book, but he was already moving around, so I gave up and proceeded with the next scene. Here I actually took the video first, but I realized after it was quite dark as today was raining, so I had to reshoot it, and you can tell the difference in terms of lighting. And I made sure as I stopped it was at the center of the screen. Harris was getting really restless because he hasn't eaten his breakfast yet, and he somehow managed to kick his vacuum into half. OMG Harris, what happened? I had to go in and fix the vacuum, but the moment I tried to solve the problem, he cried because he wanted it to be separated. I had to pull it away from him just so I had enough space to put it back together. Yep, these are the things I have to deal with behind the scenes. LOL. I gave Harris a hug to comfort him, and hopefully he remains calm as filming a video with a cranky baby is almost impossible. That is why I always try to remain calm even when he cries, even though it was raining, but I was already sweating from all the moving, so I had to turn on the aircon. Here comes the longest and most difficult part of the video. Time to get the baby bookshelf. I like running this way because I just feel I look funny on camera. But what's even funnier is Harris tried to copy me. I tried to capture him, but sadly he stopped doing it. Maybe next time I'll show you guys if he does it again. Anyways, don't be fooled by this small box. It is actually bigger than I was expecting it to be. I always struggle in fixing these kind of things. I usually plan how much shooting time I have, and when it comes to fixing things, I always need to give myself a buffer of extra time because of mistakes. You will know what I mean later. Fixing this baby bookshelf actually took me longer than expected. It's not because it is difficult, it's just that I hate reading the manual. I always like to fix it myself first, but that's where the problem started. I wasted almost 10 minutes being lost, and with a baby by your side, things can get pretty stressful. So I gave up and I started to read the manual. If there is an option for paying someone to assemble, I would almost always pay for it, but sadly, for this case, it wasn't available. I was surprised Harris actually gave me some time to fix the shelf. He was pretty occupied with his vacuum, but I spoke too soon. In just a few seconds, he stood up and started making baby noises, so I knew I had to increase my speed. What I like about this shelf is it doesn't require any drilling, and it can be easily joined together using simple large screws. I felt I was really making progress, but suddenly I realized I forgot to put in a piece, and I had to unscrew one of these sides, but finally I was able to complete it. There is one cool feature I didn't post in the short form video, which is this cool whiteboard, but because Harry is not old enough to use it yet, I didn't feature it. One of the most painful struggle for anyone is to choose a book because the books are on top of each other, and that's where it becomes an inconvenience. This actually discourages anyone from reading. This applies to both babies and even adults. That is why it only makes sense for me to buy this bookshelf. When I was little, I couldn't really understand why I didn't have any interest in books, but the reason could be that they just weren't part of my world. So now I'm placing them into his, right at eye level, right where curiosity lives, and it actually looks quite beautiful with all the different bright colors. Choosing them becomes easier. It is both adorable and practical. Here comes the interesting part. My first thought was to put the bookshelf inside the playpen, right where Harris already spends most of his time. Convenient, safe, controlled. But then it hit me. If the books are inside the playpen, they are no longer a discovery. They are just another another thing placed for him. Furthermore, there were already so much distractions inside the playpen. I didn't want him to read because I put it there. I want him to read because he chose to go there. As he was approaching the shelf, he suddenly stopped and he got distracted. So I just had to use the FOMO effect. Sometimes I need to show him how it is done before he can really understand the experience. I wanted him to choose a book, which he did, but he took another one, and I knew it was difficult to reshoot this part again, so I guess we are just going to go with 2 books. I brought Harris back in, but he wanted out. One very useful tip I learned is sitting in front of Harris turns reading into a shared moment. Not just from the shadows, he can see my face, my expressions, my lips moving, and the book at the same time, which helps him connect sounds to meaning, stay focused longer, and feel emotionally safe. Behind him equals passive, in front of him connection, guys. Harry's attention span at 1 year old is still very short, so I normally keep reading just under 5 minutes or whenever he gets bored. This was towards the end, and I'm pretty sure he wanted another book, but I already had enough scenes for my short video. Maybe this won't make him a reader overnight, maybe he won't even remember this moment, but one day, books won't feel unfamiliar to him because for him, they were already within reach.